Well, hello, my name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. So I don't know that this is going to be a super long video, but this question popped into my head recently, and I just thought I would kind of get on here and pose it to you guys. I've noticed in a number of tag videos, especially like one of the ones that comes to mind is the mid-year book freakout tag. A lot of times a question will get asked something to the effect of, what do you need to read? Or what should you be reading? Or a question basically implying that like you have some sort of reading schedule that you may or may not be sticking to. And I think as a mood reader, I just find that I'm very just instinctively resistant to that type of question and to that line of thinking. And so it got me thinking about like 3 different types of shoulds that I have in my reading life, and like I don't know that I will come to a conclusion in this. I just thought I would start a conversation and you guys can let me know what you think. So the first kind of should is books you should have read in terms of like classics or sort of like books that everyone has read or whatever. And I think that that is one form of book shouldism that gives people some pressure in terms of what they should be reading. And this is the one that I'm probably most I both understand the most and am most resistant to, because I understand it, and I actually kind of believe this and preach this a little bit, that there are definitely some books that everybody or a lot of people or readers of a certain genre should read, because I do think that they become sort of like lingua franca type books. A classic example of this to me would be like in the fantasy genre. I think everyone, if you're a fantasy reader, I think you should read Tolkien, just because like he created the genre as it currently exists, at least for like immersive fantasy. So like I understand that, and I also understand the feeling of I should read this because like everybody in my bookish community has read this. So like if you're a big YA fantasy reader, I completely understand the feeling of like I should read Cassandra Clare, or I should read Sarah J. Maas, or I should read Philip Pullman. Like in YA fantasy, I think that there are some either like hyped about authors or just like kind of classic authors that that people are reading and that you want to read to have been a part of the conversation. So like this is the book shouldism that I am most sympathetic to, but it's also the one that I think can get abused really quickly, because I think it can be used as sort of like in or out, like a way to other people, basically, of like, oh, you've not read that book, like, and you say that you're a fan of this, really, whatever. Like, I think that it can be kind of that, and it could also be like, oh, everybody's reading this right now, why aren't you reading it? And I don't know, like, as a mood reader, I both, like, part of me is like, yes, I do have some sympathy to the idea that there are like universal books in certain genres, so like I encourage people to get to those when they're ready. But I'm a mood reader, and I guess I just really resist any idea that like you have to read something, or like everybody has read that, why haven't you? Or even just like maybe you are a fan of YA fantasy, but like maybe you've tried a Sarah J. Maas book in the past and like didn't like it and you don't want to read anything else from her, or maybe the set of tropes in the really hyped book at the moment don't really align with what you like. So like I guess like I just want to say like you don't have to read that. Like it's okay for you to just say like I'm not going to read that, and like I'm not going to let anybody make me feel bad about not reading it. So I think again, this is the book shouldism that I probably understand the most, but also like resent the most, maybe. Another form of book shouldism, I've coined this term in progress, I hope you're enjoying that, is things that have timeline pressure on them. And these are the ones as a mood reader that stress me out the most. And that is like anything like I have a book due back at the library, or now I get ARCs now, so like this book is coming out on a certain date, so I need to read it before then, or I've committed to do a buddy read or a book club, so like I need to read it by this date. If you're in school, like that is like the most valid form of book shouldism. Like if you get assigned something, you should read it, okay? But I mean like things that are time pressures, and I think recently I've been like kind of trying to challenge that in myself and say like, okay, girl, if this book is due back at the library and you do not read it by then, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to have to wait for it again? Like that's okay. Like That's okay. Buddy reads. If life really happens, then it's okay. Like if I set up a buddy read with another creator here on BookTube and like something came up and I just wasn't going to be able to read it, or like I just really couldn't make whatever, like people are lovely. And I'm sure if I expressed that to them, they would be like, that's fine. Like, let's push it off for a month. Or like, oh, that's fine. We'll just keep going without whatever. It would be fine. Book club. I mean, like, don't be the person who's in a book club and like never reads the book. But like, if you have a month come around where you didn't get to the book, like, that's okay. Like it'll be fine. You can go to the book, like maybe read a synopsis or whatever, so you know what's going on in the book generally, and then just enjoy listening to people talk about a book. And like, it'll almost be like a book review that you'd watch on BookTube that you hadn't read the book for. Like, it's okay. So I think I've been trying to challenge that in myself. Like, the closest thing to a book shouldism in this category that I do truly feel pressure about is arcs, but I've kind of slowed down on asking for them because I realized I was feeling pressure, and like, I am just a mood reader at heart, and I don't want to feel like pressure or obligation to get to something that I might not be in the mood to read. Like, I can force myself to read it, and like, oftentimes I still really enjoy it, but it creates this feeling of sort of like, dread is too strong, but just like pressure basically around my reading. And like, this is my number one hobby. I don't want to get to a point where I feel a lot of pressure around it. So that's another form of book shouldism that I think in a lot of cases we can challenge. Maybe in the cases of like arcs or school books, we have to kind of go with the flow, but like, I'm giving myself permission to not feel pressure about that. And then finally, the last form of book shouldism is the one that is most like, I am in a prison of my own making, like, why am I doing this to myself? Is I do feel book shouldism around books I want to get to and just keep not getting to. The thing that made me think about this the most, because I'm about to film a video about series that I need to finish, and I think you guys will have seen that by the time this goes up, but like series that I feel pressure to finish because I'm enjoying them. And I'm like, why are you delaying reading something you know you're going to enjoy? You should be reading that. And this is the one that I want to like lean into the most, probably, because I think the thing that's competing for my time to read those things are a lot of the book shouldisms in the second category. Like, oh, well, I'm not reading this right now because I have a book out from the library and I have to get to that first. I own this book, so like, I don't need to, I can put it off. And it's like, well, but why are you, like, first of all, don't put pressure on yourself. Like, I've been telling, like, don't feel pressure to get to something that you know you're going to enjoy and then like diminish your enjoyment by adding pressure to this situation. But also, like, if you reject some of this book shouldism in the second category, it will give you more time for the third category to not be as big of a thing. Because like, if I'm not putting pressure on myself to read things that it's not even that I don't want to read, but just like may not want to read right at that moment, then I think it opens up space for me to get to the things that I do want to read in that moment. So the third category are things that like I should be reading, and I maybe actually truly should be reading, because they're the things that I'm like, oh, I want to, like, what do I keep saying? I want to get caught up in the Side Changeling series. I've been saying that for over a year now, and I keep not doing it because it's not as urgent as other things on my TBR. So anyway, I don't know if any of this made sense, but I think I've been kind of talking to myself about book shouldism. We talk a lot on BookTube about things you should be reading or have to read or whatever, and I think I just wanted to, like, I needed to tell myself this, but also just put this out to you as a gentle reminder and encouragement that, like, this is for fun, there is no should. As Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try. I would say read or read not, there is no should. Like, don't stress out about this. If you're somebody who really likes to have like a very, and I'm like this in a lot of parts of my life, like I like to have a plan, and I know some people feel that way about reading and don't suffer under moodiness of book reading. But like for me, I am such a mood reader. Like that is the core of who I am. And I think I've gotten away from that a little bit, honestly, probably because of BookTube somewhat, because I feel some pressure to think and plan more. And so I'm trying to like balance these two sort of competing factors in myself. So anyway, I just wanted to give this as encouragement to anyone out there who is feeling oppressed by pressure or feeling oppressed by book shouldism. Like, just say no, like, this is for fun. This is about you and not about anybody else. Anyway, I'm not sure if any of that made sense, but definitely let me know what you think in the comments if you ever feel sort of like weird pressure to read things, or if you are resistant or resilient against that. Like, definitely feel free to let us know how you do that. But yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd sort of open up a conversation and have a quick little pep talk to myself and to you. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below. And I think that will do it. Hope you're having a really great day, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!